the mighty Oxford City. If anyone's ever around Oxford, come to a game. It is the best. I'm looking at Obey when I say that for some reason. I need to be looking at you lot. Look how nice that shirt is, by the way. For non-league.
I said this to the others off camera. I thought it was a Reading top when I first saw it. Before I said it was University of Oxford, I thought it was a Reading shirt.
Exactly. That's how nice it is. We've got it done. And this is our shirt for the next 2 seasons. It's looking really, really nice. Watched us score 4. Was it 4 or 3 in the end? No, it was 3, sorry. Score 3 past Biggleswade Town to advance to the next round of the...
that entertaining, you can't even remember what the score was.
I was quite tired, mate, but we scored 3 and we're down FA Trophy quarter-final against Forest Green Rovers, the favourites, at Oxford City, at the stadium. If you're around, come to that game because it's going to be sick. But shall we talk about some other leagues in England, shall we?
I think we should, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Blue Podcast Network, where you're joining us on The Green Show. We are back, me and Matt today, unfortunately. Everyone else, I think, has gone home for Christmas, so they're still celebrating with their families. But we, for some reason, thought it was a good idea to come back and sit in this cold room and talk about football.
We won't get our normal portion of riling the West Midlands fan bases, but you know,
I'm sure we'll find a way. Like he'll somehow like transmit his like frustration towards us.
Well, shall we try and find a way to start with one West Midlands team, Walsall?
Yes,
flying away with League 2. They're, I think, 10 points clear now. I mean, Port Vale were on top, and they seem to be like quite strong favourites to win that league and go on and do everything.
Completely dropped off. Yeah. It's not been good, and it's Darren Moore obviously not having a good time of it at all recently, especially after how good of a season they had to start with.
Yeah,
but I think it's kind of come down to one man, doesn't it, when it comes to why this has happened?
Which man?
The man is called, because I forget his name, and that's why I've got my phone out again. I know, I'm sorry, guys, behind the camera. I know what I'm doing. Shut up.
What is the man's name?
The man's name is Nathan Lowe, who I don't know how I forgot that. But yeah, top goal scorer in the league, top goals and assists as well. Doing quite well with goal involvements. He's got 13 goals.
To be honest, that's quite surprising because I'd have thought for a league like League 2, I thought the top goal scorer would have more goals than that by now. If you look at the other leagues around the country, most goal scorers have more than that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it comes and it goes. I think it depends on the quality of the defence compared to quality of the attack. Obviously, in League 2, the defence is not going to be doing a good job. But if your strikers aren't clinical, then you're not going to get that many goals.
Yeah.
But I think Nathan Lowe has been reasonably clinical. And he's one of his goals are making an impact. He's taken Walsall to the top of the table. You look at the next 2 top goal scorers, Michael Cheek and I'm not going to pronounce that first name, but Yatta at Notts County. Now, obviously, teams that are doing quite well, having great seasons by their standards, but not promotion favourites.
I think I can't remember if it was New Year's Day or Boxing Day, but it's somewhere around there. I was watching Walsall play away at Notts County, and they were 1-0 down. I remember, and I was watching it, and they scored 2 goals to win the game 2-1. And it's just because I had it on because they had it was one of those weekends where they have 40 games or whatever on Sky because of Sky Plus now.
Exactly,
and they were just so relentless. Like they didn't look like they should have won. And Notts County were really good, but they keep pushing on. They keep grinding out and getting results. And I was very impressed by what I saw with Walsall. I think they'll definitely be in League 1 next season.
100%.
I don't think it's a.
I think that's kind of confirmed. I know we kind of said that about Port Vale already, but like,
that's the thing. We already
when
said
you have that kind of clinical finisher, and obviously your team is doing well defensively as well. That kind of pairing, it's kind of like it's good to put your money on a team like that. And you look at the likes of these, like Michael Cheek and Yatta, these 2 great goal scorers for teams that aren't going for that promotion slot. January's just turned up. We're in January now. You look at some of the teams like Port Vale, for example, but also the likes of Crewe and Salford, who are in the promotion playoff posts as well. Could you go to these clubs and try and bring in a big goal scorer to try and see you over the line?
I think Port Vale, an issue they've had is they've had quite a lot of injuries. From what I know, I think they've had a lot of first teamers out, and it's pushed them down the table. But a team that surprised me as well is Salford. They don't tend to push for promotion, and they're 3rd.
Yes.
And I know that the teams around them, like Port Vale, haven't done as well recently, but Salford are pushing on a bit. Can they They've got the FA Cup tie against Man City coming up. I know it's away and they won't win it, or at least they're very unlikely to win it. But can they,
it's a big
make
tie
a good account of themselves?
I hope so, especially going against Man City. Get all the class of '92 out for that
agenda.
One. Yeah, it's not an agenda. It's fact, mate. It's anti-Man City. But obviously, quite a poor start to the season. They've been quite an inconsistent club for the last few years, ever since they kind of came into the EFL. Did you watch the video? I forget who it was who did it, but it was I think it was the guys who do. I forget their names. Basically, they go to lots of grounds, but they went to Salford and they were basically like, "This is the least supported club." In the country.
100%.
Nobody
100%.
goes to games.
And I mean, sorry, Gary Neville, if you're somehow watching. But I think this is one of the worst owned clubs in football. It's an example for me of completely what not to do. Because Wrexham, for example, they bought the club. They've bought into the fan base. It's an old historic town, old historic club, and they've bought into that. And Wrexham, I know they're doing well, and they had back-to-back promotions, and they might get another one. But the fans are there, and they're real passionate fans who have supported the club for a while. Whereas Salford, you can't just manufacture a club on a fan base; it won't work.
No, very true. But I would say that they are from that area. Obviously, they kind of grew up in Salford, and like it's a big part of Manchester United culture. So it's one of these things where it's like me going to St Neots and buying St Neots Town. Because you'd go and buy your own club, right? That's just it's not about trying to build the best club. It's about building up your area, if that makes any sense.
I know there's other owners, but Gary Neville's the main one who people know. He's a pundit. He's not a football club owner. People don't know him as a football club owner, yet he still has a stake in the club. Like,
he also
it's ridiculous.
You can own more than one thing, and it's not.
I
just
know,
him.
But if you're owning a football club, your heart has to be in it. It's like you see Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. They're over for games all the time. I think most owners of most football clubs are there for most games, and he's not probably there for most games.
Yeah, I mean, our owner was the player. He was a manager. He was director of football for a long time, and now he's our owner, and he is good. He's
there you go. You go through the club, and you get to know the people, and it helps.
I do agree, but let's talk about the football very, very briefly. Obviously, the last time they lost was Gillingham at the start of December, and I believe
they've gone the whole way through without losing in December.
And other than that game, they have kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins. All of which with a clean sheet, scoring a couple of 1-0s, but mostly 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. Like they're wiping teams away, completely controlling games.
Could they be the team to try and knock Worcester off their pedestal potentially? I mean, I don't know, but they're looking the most likely to challenge. I mean, the other team in that battle we're not talking about is Crewe, but have they?
They come up and down.
I know, that's what I mean. Have they really surprised anyone this season? I'm not sure.
They're always there and thereabouts, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to see them actually pushing for an automatic spot this time.
Yeah, no. They're always around the playoffs though, so I'm not surprised they're there. But Salford and that's surprising.
Yeah, Carl Robinson's doing a good job. Obviously, previously of Oxford United and Milton Keynes, a good solid manager for this level. I think it was him who got Oxford promoted to League One. I'm pretty sure. Might have been him, but he was definitely a good manager for them, and he had a good reputation from that as well. Took him deep in the FA Cup one year as well. I remember watching that game.
Yes.
And now obviously has taken it down to Salford. So I think for this level, is a very, very solid manager to have appointed.
100%.
A good appointment, and it seems to be paying off. But shall we move up a level? Shall we step it up?
Yeah.
Into the next gear, League One.
No, I think
I'm going to have a bit more hype behind it.
the most surprising team for me is Leyton Orient. I know we briefly said it off camera, but that's shocking.
I've been saying this to you for a couple of weeks now, how good that it is. Again, it's the same thing as Salford in the lower division. It's clean sheets, it's solid wins week after week. They haven't lost since November now. It's like really? 5 or 6 games on the run, I'm pretty sure, if it's got to about that.
That's the thing, when I last looked at the table, well, not last look, but a couple months ago, they were, I think, 18th or somewhere down there. It's ridiculous.
They were quite low down.
They were so low. I thought, they're cut off. They'll finish mid-table probably.
They are a club that you think is synonymous with League Two, and the fact that they're challenging in League One now, like they've taken a real step up, and it's quite exciting to see. But they are only one place below a pretty surprising team in itself in Stockport County.
Yes.
So they were promoted last season from League Two alongside Wrexham
and Mansfield.
And now obviously Wrexham are third, And then Stockport and Mansfield are 7th and 9th respectively, like really pushing.
They're all doing well. All of the newly promoted teams have done well. But obviously,
Stockport specifically have done really well, and they've been kind of carried, if I'm being honest, by one man.
Yes.
And that's Louis Barry, the ex-Barcelona academy graduate, kind of. It's a bit of a weird one. Like Louis Barry was at Barcelona, I forget, but he has unfortunately been recalled by Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think. Was it that they're trying to look to get him to a club higher up? Is that what I read? I think they're trying to get him into the Championship.
Derby.
Yes,
it's going to be Derby County. He's going to, but that is a massive miss for them. That's their best player by a certain amount, and the top goal scorer in League One for this half of the season. And if he'd have stayed, pretty confident he would have been the top goal scorer for the season.
Almost certainly. The only person really you'd expect to maybe catch him is Jay Stansfield, but he's not really been.
He had a slow start, but actually, if you look at the table, he's third now.
And is it Richard Kone who plays for Wickham? Is that? It is. Yeah, that's
because it was a bit of touch and go whether or not they'd sign him in the summer. I think I remember that happening.
Because do you know what's interesting to me? He's 21 years old. Do you know how old Jay Stansfield is?
19.
He's 21 years old as well.
Is he actually?
I think at least. You might have to fact check me on that.
But the difference is
they signed him on a free.
Yeah.
And Jay Stansfield was what, 15 million?
Do you know where they
Richard
got him
Kone's outscored him. I don't know where they got him from. I know it was a free. It might have been out of someone's academy or something, but
I think so.
I know they picked him up on a free, whereas Stansfield has scored less goals and he cost 15 million.
Because I think he had an okay season last year, kind of in League One, got 4 goals. Yeah. I think he was on loan there last season. I'm pretty sure if I get that right. And then this season it was kind of a bit of like, are they going to get him? Is he going to go elsewhere? But no, signed on again. 16 goals so far.
He's been really good.
And 2 assists. For a free transfer, that is incredible value because you could
100%.
sell him on for like 10 million.
The one thing I wonder, going back to Stockport, is will they now have some money to spend though? Because surely Louis Barry would have had a pretty hefty wage, because I know he's an academy player at Villa, but he plays technically for a Premier League club. I know they'll only be paying a percentage, but surely you'd imagine there's a decent fee.
There'll be, in terms of their budget, there'll be a good chunk of their budget that they can take. But again, it's still a League One wage budget, and I don't see them being able to get anybody much better than him.
Yeah,
in swap.
I think if you look at the teams above them in the table, I think the teams above them, you'd expect them to sort of stay where they are, and I don't think Stockport will be in the playoff positions come the end of the season. I know they're not at the moment anyway, but
if they had Louis Barry, I would think it could happen.
They could have made a push, but either way it would be hard. You've got Reading, Barnsley, Huddersfield, Wrexham, Wickham and Birmingham. Those are the 6 teams that I'd probably expect to be there at the start of the season.
I mean, they've played 2 games since he's gone, since the 1st of January. They drew to Birmingham, which is a decent result.
That's a good result, to be fair.
But then lost 2-1 to Mansfield.
Again, you'd want to win
the
that.
team you came up with, the team you're battling for promotion with, like that's a sign that I think it's not going to go.
I think they won't be in trouble in any way, but I think they will.
They did too well. This first half of the season has saved them for relegation, so they're not going to go down. But I see them mid-table now.
Well, I think actually in this league, talking about relegation is very interesting because there is already a 5-point gap between 20th and 21st, and obviously 4 teams go down in this league. Is it not looking pretty certain who's down? Yeah. I think. Sorry to fans of Crawley, Shrewsbury, Cambridge, and Burton, but it's not looking good.
I think Gary Monk at Cambridge, obviously a little bit more knowledge on that one. I think it might be.
Well, I've seen Burton a couple years ago live. They're just a solid League One club. I'm surprised to see them where they are because I've always viewed them as a lower end, but a League One club.
A team you've got a connection with, in all fairness. Let's have a connection with Burton Albion.
Not really.
Send loads of their players.
We used to more so than now. Hamza Chowdhury went there, I think.
I remember that. Yeah,
but I can't really remember many others.
Also, a team with access to really good facilities. They use St George's Park.
Yeah, they do. Because it's 5 minutes away. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm surprised because I've been there. It's a nice club, nice little town. But I'm surprised to see them bottom of the table with only 14 points at this stage, because whilst they may not have ever had the squad, they've never been in trouble of going down from League One really. Like they've been in League Two before, but they've been a solid League One club for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of decent players in their team there, but again, you're looking for like a spark of quality to kind of keep you in the division, and it's just not there. Gary Breuer, just I don't know. He's taking a risk on a guy out of Scotland. Dundee have lost a manager there, but I don't see him keeping them up.
No, the thing I'd say as well though you look at the league. Are you surprised by many of the teams that are down there? I know I said Burton is a bit surprising, but the other three, I'd kind of expect them to be where they are.
I do. The team that isn't in there but are almost in there is more interesting than the four that are in there, which is Peterborough. I'll get the name right.
Yes, that one is surprising.
That one is more surprising. I'd much rather talk about Peterborough because obviously they've scored 40 goals this season already.
They have, yes.
Poku's got 15 goal involvements all season, and they are that bad defensively that they are.
Yeah, they have an incredible
5 points
attack.
off relegation.
Such a good attack. Probably one of the better attacks in League One.
I see they will be picked apart in the summer. Surely.
I think they finished in the playoffs last season. I think they lost in the playoff final, did they not? Or
I don't know about that.
No, sorry. Wickham lost in the playoff final. They lost in the semis, but they were still up there.
They are a team that you expect to be challenging for promotion to the championship
100%.
with the quality. You remember what I was saying before about a star factor that Burton just don't have. They have so many of those little stars, like Poku being probably the best one, but they've got a couple other wingers as well in there that are just like have so much quality to attack, and it's just they haven't been able to figure it out as a team. And I think this might spell the end, because you look at the kind of their best players. Obviously lost Burrows, they lost Ronnie Edwards.
Yes,
Poku will go this. I reckon Poku will go, and I think and then that will be the end of them. They won't be able to replace these players.
The other team, the last team that I want to talk about in this league is Reading, because I think it's interesting. They've lost
Ruben Sellers.
They lost Ruben Sellers.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but
Ruben Sellers.
I don't know.
But yeah, they've actually done quite well since he's gone. So he left just after they played Wickham.
That was it.
And then they lost a couple of games. They lost 3-0 to Blackpool and 2-0 to Lincoln, which obviously is a bit unfortunate. But then since then they've won 3 and drawn 1. I know that they've played Cambridge and that, who are in the relegation zone and look down and out. But
they also played Mansfield and won.
They played Mansfield, who are doing well, and Charlton as well, who
Charlton
have Nathan Jones in charge.
Always a solid team. Another team who are low on the financial side of things, but have had a good manager to really get the best.
If I'm not mistaken, they're 10th or 11th, I think, Charlton. So they're not having a bad season.
Nathan Jones and Ruben Sellers are both managers who have managed in the Premier League reasonably recently. Good quality, much better quality than that league that they're in. And
they've both managed at the same club, haven't they? They both managed at Southampton.
They were both at Southampton, yeah, exactly. So they know each other quite well. But unfortunately, Sellers wasn't at that game.
He was not.
Because he'd gone up to the Championship. He'd taken the Hull City job.
He has, and they had a great result on the weekend. They were 3-1 down to Leeds, and they came back to draw 3-3.
Exactly.
The Leeds fan, I saw quite a funny video. I don't know if you saw it, but there was this video of Leeds fans singing "In Your Cup Final 3-1," and then a cut to when they scored to make it 3-3. It was brilliant entertainment. As much as I don't really like Leeds as a club, because
neither.
No one really likes Leeds.
Does anyone like Leeds? That's what I was going to say.
Anyone in here like Leeds? Oh, people do like Leeds. Fair enough. That's surprising.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a United fan,
should we really be saying that behind us? But
good point. There is a Leeds shirt there. I forgot he liked Leeds. It's just covered. Good idea. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, no, I think he is that kind of manager who gets more out of players than is there. He works well at clubs where they're lacking that quality. And I think Hull last season were basically like, let's just risk it, get some really high quality loans in the door, push for promotion, see what happens. Then it didn't work out because they didn't quite make it off in that playoff.
This season, I don't think it's a thing of them lacking quality, because I think they still have some quality in that squad. I think it's just a thing of they've lost so much quality, because they lost Greaves, they had the Lap.
They lost the Lap.
They've both gone to Ipswich. They lost Philogene, obviously, he went back to Villa.
Well, he's available now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go back there, though.
He's not going back to Hull, but I think he's either going top Championship or low Prem.
I think he's a winger I would take it. Leicester, I think a lot of lower clubs would take him. I think Ipswich would. I think
100%.
Southampton almost certainly would.
We need to find out if we're going to keep Jack Clark or not, because that's going to be key for them. But we're not talking about the Prem.
We're not
talking about Ipswich anymore in this video, because they're no longer a Championship club.
But yeah, I think Hull are not going to push on, but I don't think they're going to. There's no chance for me
Harvey
that they go down.
Burstow's a good signing. Harvey Burstow's got some quality, obviously on a free transfer from Chelsea.
I think what they need to do, though, is they need to...
João Pedro.
They need to give Sellers the freedom in the window, I think. He's got a January window. He needs to be able to bring some of his own players in.
Yeah.
Could we see potentially him bring some players from Reading over? Seeing as he's made good connections there, some of their better
I
players.
I wonder who he'd bring. Joel Pereira might be a shout if you're looking for a goalkeeper. Like that's obviously because he's a United player. I know him off my head.
Their goalkeeper's Panda, isn't he? He's quite good.
No, it's Joel Pereira.
Their goalkeeper?
Yeah, Joel Pereira.
No, Hull. They have Panda,
Hull.
don't they? Panda.
Sorry, mate. I get confused.
I think it's pronounced Panda.
Sorry, I'm just going to try and pronounce this.
Yeah,
Panda. He's Croatian.
He's good. He's a really good keeper. They don't need a keeper.
Not. Okay. But they've got like, Alzate and Slater who've got quality. Coyle's also got quality. But I think you're going to get a lot more out of this team.
They've got a team that can quite comfortably finish in the bottom half of the table in the Championship. I mean, comparatively to where they are now, I think they could have been 10th if they'd had Sellers all season. But
yeah,
I think it's.
I mean, another team I was quite sceptical on, just because I think we should move on for time. Really, talk about some other teams. Obviously, got a connection already, but Oxford United sacked their manager reasonably recently.
They did.
Is it Des Buckingham? Des Buckingham. I don't know to pronounce it right. And they appointed. Who was it? Do you remember? Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember. I remember fans being surprised because they thought it was a poor appointment. I think.
It's Gary Rowett.
That's it, yes.
Gary Rowett is back. And he's managing Oxford, and he's won 3-2 against Cardiff. Solid result. 2-0 against Plymouth. To be expected. But then a 1-0 win against Millwall. And
was that not the game that got Rooney sacked, the 2-0 against Plymouth? I think it was.
So. But people obviously talk about Oxford United, and they go, sack the manager in the relegation. They are now
17th. They're not doing badly. I mean... And on that point,
more than 5 points clear.
None of the promoted teams are actually doing that badly because Derby, sadly, are sat in 18th. Mm-hmm. No one likes Derby. You're boring. I hope you go down.
Oh, for God's sake. Enough of this, thank
Portsmouth are also managed to get themselves out of the relegation zone.
For now, Hull are just behind them though on goal difference.
But
goals scored.
They've had some incredible results recently, if I remember rightly. So, yeah, so they did lose 1-0 to Sunderland away last weekend.
That's
which is
a tough result.
It's a really
Sunderland
hard game.
Are a very good team.
But they won 4-0 against Swansea. It's a very good result away from at home.
To put 4 past them.
They lost their last 2 games away, and then they won 4-1 at home against Coventry, another hard team. But the theme I'm sensing here, if you look back through all of their results, they basically lose every game away and they win every game at home. Yeah. And that is enough to keep you up, in my opinion.
You make your stadium a fortress, and you got to try to hope for the best when you go away.
And that's
from home.
what they've done, exactly that.
And obviously, if you want to start pushing and try and make yourself a better team in the Championship, you've got to try and improve your squad, try and get some stuff away from home. But if you can make your home stadium a fortress from the start, you'll put yourself in a great position to really do something and keep yourself solidly in there and give yourself a chance to build. They're obviously surrounded by some big clubs, though. You obviously look at the 19th and 20th, Stoke and Luton. Luton obviously got relegated last season, and Stoke are a massive club.
Been very unlucky this season.
Yeah.
The fact that... have you seen the game against QPR? The goal they conceded, the second goal. So, basically, for anyone who's not seen it, it was a set-piece routine, right? So they passed the ball short to someone. This free kick was basically at the halfway line. So they passed the ball out to someone who's short. And then they tried to flick the ball into the box. And then someone was going to go onto it.
Yeah.
So QPR flicked the ball into the box.
Yeah.
The guy who's meant to get it miskicks it. The keeper dives away. He thinks it's going to go, and it just rolls past him really slowly.
Those are the worst. Yeah. The little P rollers.
So it was like a completely messed up set piece routine, but it went in, and it just sums up their season for me. They've been so unlucky this year, and they shouldn't be where they are, and I think they need a managerial change for me. I know there's been quite a few in the Championship, which we'll get onto, but I think Rob Edwards needs to go now.
Rob Edwards did so much for them that it's tough to sack him.
Yes, that's the thing.
I think some other clubs are a lot harsher, and they would go for that kind of... Like Leicester were that harsh when they got rid of Claudio Ranieri.
We had to be, though.
But you had to be. So you wonder whether or not Luton have to be as well.
I think for me, I said this, I think when we last did one of these, it was 4 weeks ago, and I said it then. I still say it now. The club above them, Stoke, have appointed ex-Coventry Mark Robins. What do you make of that appointment?
A great appointment. He will get some real good quality, and he will develop the club nicely, and really look to bring in that quality and try and make the club increase the reputation and increase the revenue as well by signing these kind of high quality players for low fees and try and make some money.
I don't want to talk about him too much, but I think he will get the most out of Tom Cannon. He's scored 8 league goals already this season for Stoke. I think Tom Cannon will really, really improve under Mark Robins because he's a good player. And yeah, Stoke have a good squad. I think they'll do well under him. But
shall we talk about Mark Robins' replacement at Coventry?
I don't think he's done at all as well as people thought he would.
Frank Lampard, if you're wondering who we're talking about, he's played 9 games at this point.
They've not done very well, I don't think.
Won 3, drawn 3, lost 3.
Yeah, but for me, it's the opponents. Sweep. It's the opponents that they've played. I don't think they've played teams that you'd expect them to do that badly against.
So a loss to Norwich. Season. A loss to Norwich is tough.
A fair enough away at Carrow Road.
But fair
Most
enough.
teams lose there.
Dropping points at Cardiff is
that's
for a team
poor.
of
poor.
You expect more from Coventry. I said it was a great point for Oxford earlier, because they're both kind of relegation threatened teams. Coventry is a bigger club than that. They should
Doug
be beating
King
Cardiff.
is an ambitious owner. He wants that club doing well.
Yeah. A point at Millwall isn't that bad. 4-0 at Plymouth is good.
Well, no, I'd say
expected.
A point at home to Millwall, with the level of ambition that Coventry have, they should be winning that game. Against Millwall.
I think
at home,
Millwall have been good this season.
At the Den, it's different. But
I still think it's okay. It's not that bad. But then losing 4-1 to Plymouth, to Portsmouth.
It's a shocking result. It's
shocking.
You can't tell me anything else. That's the one Portsmouth result that I look at and I think, how have you done that? It was one of Lampard's first games in charge. And I think if you look at the game before that, the 2-1 game against Hull where they did win. If you look at that game, I'm pretty sure Coventry scored right at the death.
I'll double check it.
I'm pretty sure
right,
they did.
Though, yeah.
Which is like how this team. This was before they appointed Sellers. I'm pretty sure.
72nd minutes.
But still, it's before they've appointed Sellers. You should be battering them 3-0. You shouldn't be struggling to get a result.
The quality of these players as well. I question Lampard's managerial ability at this point. After I think he was great at Derby. Somehow Rooney was great at Derby as well. But I think Derby just suit that.
I think you look at it though. I thought when it happened that Frank Lampard was a great appointment. Now I look at it and I think, what were they doing? It's
not a great. What it is, right? Is it's a chance for Coventry to generate something here, because Frank Lampard's a massive name. You're going to get way more through the gate. You're going to get a big name in to kind of quell any kind of.
Well, they need as much as they can through the gate. If you've seen their stadium, it's always empty.
They'll take the revenue out of this. They'll let him keep them up, and then they'll go and get an actual proper manager.
I think
this is not an appointment because of his managerial ability.
He needs a squad that is going to be better than Coventry's have. They have some good players. They have Haji Wright. They have Ben Sheaf, I think his name is. They have Victor Torp. They've got a good midfield. Their defence is not good enough. They've not got any good goalkeepers. Their squad is not good enough.
It's not good enough
for a manager like Frank Lampard.
Given what he did at Derby, I still expect more. If he was a good manager, I'd expect more from him.
But that Derby squad should have gone up. Look at the players they had. They had Mason Mount. They had Fikayo Tomori in the Championship. Look what those players went on to. He should have got them up.
But this Coventry team hasn't got that quality. I will give him that. I still expect more.
He needs time in this window. But I think if it comes to the 30th of January, and then results don't pick up after that, that's when Coventry have an issue, because they should then be pushing on, because he should have brought some players in who he wants.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us below who you think, whether or not you think Frank Lampard's going to work out or not at Coventry after these first 9 games.
Another debate.
And have that debate in the comments.
Another debate. Who's going to win the league? It's very tight.
Oh, it could be any of them. You've got the likes of Leeds, Sunderland, who are like
you think Sunderland is still in it?
Of course I am. Who are like attacking teams, who are like out to score goals and are fun and like pushing for that title. And then you've got the likes of Burnley, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, and you think like
you're including Middlesbrough, who are 12 points already off of Leeds. That's not happening.
The mighty Michael Carrick could do anything. Could do absolutely anything.
I'm sorry.
What a guy.
He's right. He's doing a great job as manager there, and I thought last season that they would get playoffs. This season they will 100% get playoffs. That is for certain.
100%.
They are not in a title race. I mean,
West Brom fell off, but
it is like saying the Nottingham Forest are in a title race. They're not. Their fans know they're not. They've asked the question. They know they're not. And this is the thing. I think.
But the point I was trying to make, just to circle back to that point, was that they are solid teams that build themselves of just knowing how to win the champion, especially maybe not as much Middlesbrough, but
yeah,
Burnley.
Middlesbrough have only won it once.
Shush, let me finish my point. Burnley and Sheffield United know how to win a championship. These are championship squads, but they are the best championship squads, and they are the squads that are built to win the championship. They might not stay up, but they'll have to change to stay up. But they are solid teams for this division. They're built to come down and win the division.
I think you look at it and you'd obviously say Leeds are the ones expected to win. They have the best squad as well. I'm not going to argue that point. I agree with that point. I think Leeds have the best squad. But for me, I think the league winners will be Sheffield United, because you look at it. I know they're 1 point off Leeds now. They had a points deduction. They should be. They're on paper they're above Leeds. They've had more points. They've won more games than Leeds have won, and I think Leeds just have more mistakes in them. I don't rate Farke as a manager as well. I know it was late on, but they drew to Hull, who are doing hot. They're doing bad. The one thing I would say, Sheffield United have lost one of their better players this season, Harry Souttar. He's come back to us after getting a really bad Achilles injury, but he's been really good for them, because he's not really played for us before. But he was
always very good for Stoke when they had him.
That's why we bought him.
Did he go to you?
He came to us, and then we've loaned him out there. But he was playing as sort of the central centre back for Sheffield United, and he's been doing an incredible job there. I mean, they've got the best defensive record in the league. But that could change now,
because obviously you can get goal scorers all over the shop, but having a good defensive record is massive.
I've read apparently they want us to send them Hamza Chowdhury now. Don't know, but he'd be a decent loan signing.
Take Souttar back, and then
we've taken Souttar back because he can't play this season because he's injured.
Is that done? No,
he's done for the season. He said on social media he's out for the season. But
is Chowdhury playing for you at all?
I think he should be. I'm not going to have this debate now because that's for the Gold Show. But James Justin should be out of the team and Hamza Chowdhury should be in it. Okay. But regardless, apparently we're sending him there, so that would be a good one for them. I think Sheffield United will win it.
I rate Chris Wilder and Daniel Farke, because obviously Norwich and Sheffield United previously kind of like championship winning managers.
I don't rate Daniel Farke. I don't know why.
I rate Chris Wilder a lot higher than I do Daniel Farke, because he was able to come up and then build and do something when he was up. Like that one season Sheffield United had in the Prem where they were nearly in the Champions League places, or the European places. Sorry.
I think they were. I think they came. They came sixth.
I thought it was Europa League.
I think they came sixth, and then they got Europa League playoffs.
Yeah, and then I think they lost in the playoffs. Burnley did it once as well. But I rate them up here, and I rate Scott Parker, Michael Carrick, and then just here. Michael Carrick here.
Michael Carrick for me is probably better than a lot of those
because
managers.
He lost a lot of his best players at Middlesbrough. They have a good squad, and then built a new squad.
Yeah, they've got a good squad now. They've got Finn Azaz, he's really good. They've got Emmanuel Ate-Laf, but apparently we want him. Yeah. They've got Hayden Hackney. What's the other one called in midfield? I cannot remember his name.
Oh, I know who you mean, but I forget his name.
The goalkeeper's good as well. I can't remember his name either. I forgot a lot of their names, but they've got a really good squad.
It's underrated.
Sammy Dieng's, I think, their keeper. He's really good.
Yeah.
They've got a great squad, Middlesbrough. They've got a really great squad.
I think there's one more team I want to touch on.
Yeah.
And it's a team that last season I didn't get any stick for it, but I thought I would, for saying that it was quite surprising that they were as low as they were.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Is that Blackburn Rovers?
It is Blackburn Rovers.
So they had a great season 2 seasons ago with Shammy Schmodix and a bunch of other players, Bradley Dack. And then last season they had such a kind of poor season, and I said to them, that's quite surprising. I expect better of them, and I think they'll be back up there next season.
The reason why I was surprised is they had the top goal scorer in the league.
Shammy Schmodix, yeah.
We came down, we had Jamie Vardy who scored 20 goals. Leeds came down, they had Joel Pirro and Jorginho Ruta. Who else came down?
Wilfred Gnonto as well.
Yeah, and Gnonto. Southampton came down, they had Armstrong. Sammy Schmodix beat the lot.
Exactly.
And they finished because
they survived.
They beat us last game of the season 2-0. Sammy Schmodix scored twice, but that they needed to win that because if they hadn't have won that, then they would have been relegated potentially.
Which is ridiculous given how good the squad is. And actually, you lost Sammy Schmodix, he's gone to Ipswich. Great step up, but you replaced him with Todd Cantwell, a championship regular who knows exactly what to do to get goals and assists in this division.
Yeah, precisely.
Off of Rangers. Still got Dolan, who's probably the last man standing from that old attack.
Yeah, he is really good. I remember when we played them, he was dangerous.
You got and you're getting the best out of an old Chelsea boy. Lewis Baker is there currently in the midfield, who obviously had a horrible injury, but is now coming back and looks pretty solid for them in that midfield.
I think the thing for me, which I probably should have said when we were mentioning league winners, the teams with the good goalkeepers are the teams doing well. Ainsley Pears is a great shot stopper. He is incredible. And I think that's, for me, why Leeds won't win the league. I think Meslier will let them down. Unless they can sign a keeper in the window, I genuinely think Mellier's got too many mistakes in them. James Trafford.
What was that the other day that he did that was quite poor?
He
got chipped, didn't he?
No, so basically the ball came over. It was going to hit the crossbar. He punched it up for it to drop to their attacker. If he'd left the ball, it was going out of play.
Right. Yeah.
And he like punches it upwards, and then their player just comes running in and taps it in. It's like, I don't know what he was doing, but he's got too many mistakes in him.
Yeah. James Trafford looks like this division's too easy for him. I still don't know if he's as good as I used to think he is, because again, he had a really poor.
He's that good.
He had a really poor Premier League season, but when it comes to the Championship, he could walk.
I think Michael Cooper at Sheffield United is probably the best keeper in the division
this
for
is
me.
The man.
He was the reason that Plymouth stayed up last season, and I think he can come to the Premier League with Sheffield United, and he can probably be comfortable there. Not comfortable there, but he can do a job there.
I obviously watched him play when Ipswich played Plymouth in League One when they won League One and we were second. Yeah. He was one of their best players by a long shot.
He's ridiculous.
And it's a good bit of business by Sheffield United to pick him up on the cheap. You could see how badly it's affected Plymouth this season, not having him in net.
But that's why I think that they will win the league, because they've got a great shot stopper. Leeds don't, and that's why I think Burnley would be my second choice, because I think they've got a good keeper as well.
James Trafford.
He can save them in the moments where they need it. Meslier won't do that.
Yeah, I think Alex Palmer's been hard done by. I think he's decent. West Brom have just fallen off. They were top for quite a bit, and then they've fallen off massively.
They were. It's like Preston last season.
Josh Meyer,
Preston were top for 10 games last season, and they finished their normal 12.
Yeah, I've seen a lot from Vigouroux as well at Swansea. Obviously, they've not got the strongest defence, but I've seen him make some really good saves.
Yeah, he looks promising.
Coming up front. Well, he's not. He's 29. This is the thing. He's 29, so it's a bit of a late bloomer there.
Victor Johansson at Stoke's been good, I know, as well. He's another great player who Mark Robins might get the most out of.
Yeah, I could see him developing a squad like that and getting the most out of a goalkeeper.
I think in the next couple of seasons, this can get clipped all you want. In the next couple of seasons, Stoke will be fighting for the playoffs again. And I think it's not a long shot to say that if Mark Robins does a good enough job, in the next 10 years, at some point, Stoke might have a season in the Prem. I don't know if they will, but it's not a long shot to say that.
I don't think it's that controversial.
I think they've got a good squad, and it's only going to get better under Mark Robins if the owners put the money in.
I think there is some deadwood that needs to be gone from that squad.
100%. It will take. That's why I said in a few years.
I think Mark Robins is a great Championship developer. Look at what he did with Coventry. If he can do it again with Stoke, I'm not saying he gets a Prem job, because I think that's a bit beyond, but he becomes...
I don't think it is beyond. I'd have rather had him at the start of the season than Steve Cooper.
But that was because Steve Cooper wasn't that good.
Well, yeah, Steve Cooper was never good. For anyone watching who needs to hear this, Steve Cooper is not a good football manager. Anyone who needs to hear that, Steve Cooper is not a good manager. And the fact
Keane loves him.
The fact that Ruud van Nistelrooy has come to Leicester and he's already done... I know the results haven't got any better, but the performances are that much better with an inexperienced manager proves how bad Steve Cooper is. He's so bad. I'm sorry, but just people need to hear that. There's so many people saying, oh, Leicester should never have sacked Steve Cooper. You know who you are. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They're saying, oh, Leicester should never have sacked him. They should have done. But we've improved so much.
The point I'm trying to make is that...
I had to get that out.
I know, I felt it from you. Don't worry. But Mark Robins becomes that kind of go-to Championship manager. Whenever you're struggling in the Championship, he's the man you turn to. And I think that lots of jobs in the future, lots of opportunities to be a manager, I think earns that reputation. If he can do it with Stoke, which I think he can.
I think he will. I think... Is that a nice place to end?
Should we do one last thing and then we'll end it? And I'll pose this question to you, and I'm going to pose it to the people at home as well. Obviously, I think you got 4 candidates for promotion. You've got Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United, and I think Sunderland is still in it, personally.
For autos, you mean?
For promotion, for the title.
For the title?
For the title.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, you need to make sure I know what question you're asking here.
So for the title, for first place, because I reckon Leeds always bottle it, so it's not guaranteed by any
You can't count them out. You can't count them out,
but, I'm going to enjoy listening to that song about Leeds falling apart every season that they don't.
And how Leeds are in the playoffs to the tune of I Predict a Riot as well. That's a new one.
But, okay. I think you know what the question is already. Who's winning the title?
I've told you already. Sheffield United for me.
Sheffield United. Okay. I quite like the quality in this Sunderland team. So I'm going to go with a rogue shout and say Sunderland.
God.
And I'm going to look like a mug.
Please clip this.
It's going to be funny. It's much fun.
Sunderland are a good team, yes, but they are not winning the league. They're not at that level yet. They've lost too many good players, and
Jack Clark, but
they're not going to be in the Premier League. They might be in the Premier League next season, but they're not going to win the league to be there.
I think they're going to win the league.
For me, I think if you're asking even further, I'm going to say first will be Sheffield United.
Okay.
I'm going to piss off a lot of Leeds United fans here. Second's going to be Burnley. And I genuinely think the will be... the playoffs, I reckon, will be won by Middlesbrough. Purely because I think they'll have an amazing playoff run. I don't think they're the best out of those 6 teams, that's not the 3 that deserve to go out the most.
No.
But I think Middlesbrough will be
Playoffs is a different thing. You don't get the expected talent.
You know how Luton were a couple of seasons ago when they came up? That's what Middlesbrough will do.
Coventry were nearly there. Huddersfield did it as well.
I think Middlesbrough, for me, is my rogue shout of who's going to come up.
Do you remember when... just a quick caveat before I give you my thoughts. Do you remember when Huddersfield and Brighton came up together and they were like the same quality team?
Yeah. Look where they are now. One's in League One and one's in the Premier League.
And not just in the Premier League, quality Premier League. But, okay, I'll give you my shout, and you're not going to like it because you never do. Sunderland top, I'm going to back it.
All right.
Sheffield United will be second because they know how to do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Playoffs will be West Bromwich Albion because they are just that. They'll just creep in there. They'll just creep in there at the bottom of the playoffs, and then they'll just grind out 1-0 wins.
Did anyone hear that behind the camera? Is the West Brom are going to be in the Premier League next season?
And then they'll get relegated at the bottom of the table. But it's the kind of thing that happens, isn't it? That the worst quality team gets to the final.
The one team I forgot, which I really wanted to mention,
okay, go quickly.
which we mentioned quickly, is QPR.
Yeah,
because they were bottom of the table last time we did one of these by like 4 points, and they're 12th now. And they might even get the playoffs.
Was it a change in management?
No, just Marty Cifuentes has turned it around.
Nice.
They were just completely down on their luck, and now their form's turned a bit. They've done really well recently.
Sam
I actually think they could end up in the playoffs by the end of the season.
There's an Ashby there. I know an Ashby. Decent squad. Keep an eye out for QPR. Next time we're filming this, we'll come back.
2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks time, we'll come back and we'll see if they are any higher or lower.
Unfortunately, we'll have the biggest Steve Cooper fan in the room back that week, but
we'll have to deal with it. So obviously, in the comments below, I've given you a few things to think about, but let me know who your winner, second, and then playoff winners are.
And whilst we're at it, who's going to go down?
And who is going to go down out of those teams? You got Portsmouth, Luton, Stoke, Hull, Cardiff, Plymouth. I think we know what 2 of them are, but I think we've got to find out a third one. Drop a like if you haven't already. Obviously, leave those comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think 95% of you aren't subscribed, but we have hit 9.5k, so thank you very much for that. We might just have hit it. I'm not quite sure. The timings are a bit...
We hope so.
Depending on when this comes out. But tomorrow.
Hopefully we will hit it by then. Hopefully.
If not, thank you very much for 9k because that's still a massive achievement. Thank you all very much for helping us with that. Check out all of our other shows. You can find a schedule in the description of the channel with what shows come out which day. And make sure you check out all of our other content going across the channel. And if I don't see you beforehand, we'll see you next week for another Green Show.